Welcome back to the channel, my fellow weather junkies. I'm your host, meteorologist Greg Majeski, your trusted weather source here, bringing you the weather without all that social media hype here on your Friday, February 21st, 2025. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we're tracking here for today. Is we do have milder weather moving in for this weekend. So for you folks who are tired of the cold weather, I do have some relief coming your way. But unfortunately, don't get used to it. We have a 1-2 punch of polar air that's going to be coming in on our extended outlook, and we'll look at the latest on that. And then I'm also going to still address my March concerns, what I'm seeing with the overall pattern as we go deeper into the month of March. Now, first, before we get going, we'd like to say thank you to the new subscribers here on the channel. And if you have not yet decided to do so, please do so this time. You go ahead and hit that subscribe button in that bottom right-hand corner. Please hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And as always, if you appreciate what you see here, please leave a comment down below. Give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate you guys' support, especially the fight against that almighty YouTube algorithm. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what we're seeing here on the big picture across the nation. Really pretty quiet. We've got big Arctic high pressure and control over a big part of the country. There'll be some showers down here along the Texas Gulf Coast we'll have to watch over the next few days. Got a little snow here in Denver. And we have another system here approaching up toward the Pacific Northwest that'll be bringing in some rainy conditions across Washington State into Oregon and eventually going into the interior sections of the Rocky Mountains here as we go through this weekend. Big picture, watches and warnings, really pretty quiet. We do have some flash flood watches up here across portions of Montana and Idaho, but a couple of winter weather events here across Denver, but really not looking bad here across a big part of the country. Looking at our current service map, yeah, it's cold out there, but not that really crazy cold. Remember, we were watching 30 below zero temperatures in here, but 0, 0, there's a 4, there's a minus 18. It's the coldest I can see right there. That's kind of the dead center of where that Arctic high is. So definitely beginning to warm up, but look at the cold air, even down to 37 degrees down toward Tampa. So you know you've got a very cold, frigid air mass here. A little bit of light snow here across portions of the Great Lakes and portions of the Ohio River Valley. Let's go talk about some of this snow here. This is a pretty decent snow we're coming here through Denver for today, so I'm sure it's making for a messy commute for the folks here in the Denver metropolitan area, but this should begin to subside as that little low begins to lose its punch here in the next few hours, and really should be better by the time we head into this upcoming weekend. All right, let's go ahead and talk about what we're expecting thunderstorms for the weekend. We do have a couple areas we're going to watch, but at least we don't have to worry about any severe weather. This is going for your day 2 outlook. This is going in for your upcoming Saturday. So we're talking right along the Gulf Coast there across Texas and Louisiana, where you could potentially see a rumble of thunder or two in that area here for Saturday. Now, what about your day 2, or day 3, I should say? Let's go look at your day 3. You'll see where it's showing up there. It's still kind of holding right there, right along the Texas Gulf Coast, where you might see a rumble of thunder with a little bit of rain down there with a weak system that'll be passing through that area. Now, what about the heavy rain threat? Do we have anything to worry about there? Well, it looks like out on the West Coast, again, we just showed you that storm system that is going to be coming in on the West Coast. So, again, could see some brief flooding here from Washington State down into just about near Northern California here, with some heavy of the rains moving on in there. And that is for your Saturday. And this goes into your Sunday. Again, kind of the same area. Remember, we do have that flash flood watch up in this area. You see some of the heavy rains there, anticipation of that coming into portions of Idaho and coming into areas of Montana as well. That's for your Sunday. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the big picture. Let's go and look at the latest model data. We're going to start off by looking at the jet stream pattern as we say goodbye to this Arctic air that's going to be moving on out here. That's the good news here. And as we go into next week with this current pattern flow, as we go into next week, it's definitely very zonal. When I say zonal, that means it's moving west to east here across the country. Here's your 2 jet streams. You got your westerly jet stream. You have your subtropical down here. Not really working together going into Monday and Tuesday, so things are going to warm up. But they're going to come back into phase here as we head toward the end of the week, and that's going to mean cold air coming on down. So watch what happens here as we go toward the end of the week. You notice they start kind of joining forces here by Wednesday right through here. And watch what happens as we go into your Thursday and Friday. As this comes on through, boom, it's a nice little shot of cold air coming on down. So we've got a nice little dip of the jet stream. We're going to have another cold shot coming down here as we head from the 27th and 28th of February. That's shot number 1. And then we get another shot coming right behind it. Boom, there's shot number 2 going in towards your Sunday. Again, look at that configuration of that jet stream. So that cold air comes on down. And then we got a weak system out here off the West Coast. Now, this was the one I was watching the last couple days that I thought heading toward the 4th might provide some severe weather. It looks like the models have backed off on this. Now, of course, this is still 10 days out. It could change some. But this upper level low comes in here across California going in toward the 3rd. So that'll provide some rains and stuff out here. And as this moves inland, I was concerned about this perhaps becoming a severe weather thing. It really flattens out. Notice the jet stream here, kind of zonal flat. You get what's left of that energy right there. It'll provide some rains, but right now that kind of configuration, nope, that doesn't concern me for severe weather. However, one thing I do want to say about this pattern that we continue to see with these cold shots coming down and the fact we're going into March, it's only a matter of time, I think, before we see a pretty decent and substantial storm system develop, because as these air masses, warm and you still got this cold, when they collide like that, you can really get some very strong systems. You can get some very strong thunderstorms. Obviously, the tornado threat will be there as well. Obviously, meteorological spring, you look for that, and I'll be watching that very closely as we go deeper into the month. Let's look at the short-range forecast for the weekend. Really not much to talk about. We'll talk about the rains down here. We'll talk about the rains out here in the Pacific Northwest. This kind of goes bye-bye as we go through the next 40 hours there. So watch that timestamp there as we kind of go through this upcoming weekend. Again, Friday not looking bad, but that rains will be increasing across the Pacific Northwest going into your Friday. We'll see some of that rain there along the Gulf Coast going into your Saturday. So Saturday looking a little wet there along the Gulf Coast. You'll see that by the time we're at around 7 o'clock on Saturday evening. Rains here. Pretty good heavy rains here across California, Oregon, and into portions of Washington State, and even getting into Idaho. So some of the folks up there are going to be looking at some wet weather there. And that'll continue right in through the weekend. Going into your Sunday morning, the rains really pick up here, and the flooding risk will be the highest up here across Idaho and into areas of Montana. Still looking at the wet weather here, and a little bit of snow is up here across areas of the Northeast as well. Kind of going into your Sunday morning. So let's go ahead and continue this forward. We'll continue with the European model as we continue to go forward here. Again, we got that wet weather out here on the West Coast. There's that rain along the Gulf Coast. A little snow is up here. As we go through next week, the big story obviously is going to be the nice warm-up. We're going to see that's for sure. Going into Monday and Tuesday, a lot of the country, maybe look where the 540, that freezing line that I track the cold air with, is way up here. So we know it's going to be nice and warm, mild here across a big portion of the country, at least briefly, before those jet streams, as I just showed you, kind of come back together and they bring back another cold shot. So here it comes going into your Friday. This is Thursday into Friday. Look where that freezing line goes, right back down here toward the south. We'll have some snows in here across the Northeast. One of the snowiest winters they've had there in a long time. And that trend continues with that snow threat. So that's shot number one. Here's shot number two right behind it once again. We'll see some more snows here across the Northeast, even getting down here into the Ohio River Valley, parts of the Appalachians, with that freezing line going right back down into Georgia and Alabama, going into Sunday night and into Monday morning. So we're talking about the 2nd and 3rd of March. And then as we go ahead and take this on out to the end of this, we'll watch that storm system. This was the one I was concerned about severe. It has backed off it, but again, keep in mind, this is still 288 hours out, so it is subject to change. You can always change and say, oh, well, maybe it is going to be severe, but we'll continue to watch that system. Right now, on the latest model run as of today, it is definitely backed off. Just some rain coming into the Ohio River Valley there. Again, some snows coming back into the Northeast, where they've been kind of holding on to the rain, the cold air that's going in from the 5th and into the 6th of March, which happens to be my brother's birthday on the 6th, actually. And that goes on by, and then we'll see another storm system, kind of weak one, pull out here into areas of the southeast with some rain and some more, a lot of mountain snows here across the four corners heading toward the 7th of March. All right, so let's look at the precipitation totals. One thing I'll say on the short term, going down for the next 3 days, not a whole lot of it, that's for sure, going into this weekend. So kind of taking you through the weekend, you get some rains here along the Gulf Coast, you got some rains here across the Pacific Northwest into Northern California. But most of the nation looking pretty good, looking pretty dry for this weekend. Not bad at all. And as we go ahead and take you out for the next 10 days, it does pick up a little bit, but it's not nearly as robust as yesterday's models. Yesterday's models were kind of showing it going beyond 10 days. It looked like it was going to pick up some more there. And it looks like predominantly staying, again, the northwest areas down here along the Gulf Coast. See a little more rain here across portions of the, maybe some snows, and obviously heading into New England. And taking this out for the whole run there, it picks up just a little bit here across portions of the Ohio River Valley and coming into the Northeast there as we go through the first week of March. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the snow chances here again through the weekend. Not that much here for the next 72 hours. The Intermountain region, higher elevations out here the west. A little bit of snows here across the Northeast, but really not that much. And as we go ahead and take this on out to the rest of the 10-day here, we'll take this on out again. Wow, look, there's a surprise. There's the Northeast once again getting in on the snow. It's got a snow path here with a storm system there. Higher mountain snows out toward the west. And then it starts to pick up a little bit more as we go deeper into the month of March. I think this all the way out to the end. You're still looking at snow falling here for about, 50% of the country, I would say. 50% here, still looking at some snows, even getting down into areas there across the southern Smoky Mountains as well, continuing. So again, looks like a snowy pattern still continuing into March, and we'll just watch and see how that jet stream configuration gets set up here for the potential bigger storms as we progress deeper into the month of March. So let's go ahead and talk about let's go ahead and track the cold air. Let's go ahead and look at this right here. Again, we're going to say goodbye to this Arctic air, those purples, that's your 30 degrees below normal readings. This begins to modify for the weekend. And let me tell you what happens through the weekend. That cold air moves on off. We get that nice warm up come in. Look at this. This looks, look at this. Finally getting a bit of a break. For every action, there's an equal but opposite reaction. We get a nice warm up going into Monday and Tuesday. But it was teasing you in the headliner, don't get used to it. It's going away as we got that nice cold shot coming down as we head toward the end of the week. This is Thursday into Friday, so here's our cold dump. That's number one. Still staying warm out here in the west, though. Above normal still staying out in the west, but the eastern half of the country definitely looking at the cold shot coming in, and that's number one. And then here's number two, right behind it, going into towards your Sunday. So we got a 1-2 punch. You can almost cut the country right in half. It's colder here, and it's warmer out here in the west as we go toward the third. But as we take this all the way out to the end, there are some hints of some changes here. We'll take this all the way out as we'll start to see it move on off. We see some cold air definitely coming out here toward the west as we go toward the 6th and 7th. You're seeing the colder temperatures here, a little milder here along the Gulf Coast, still cold up here in New England here. So we're getting a little bit of hint here of a little bit of a pattern change where some of the cold air may go out further out toward the west as we go into the 7th of March. Now, again, what typically happens when it gets colder out there, we get warmer in the east, and that's what I'll be looking for as we go into deeper in the month to see where those clashes of cold air in the west bumping into that warm air in the east and see if we get any bigger storm systems to fire up at that time. So let's go ahead and wrap this up by taking a look at the latest from the Climate Prediction Center here as we take a look at the 6 to 10 day outlook. This looks pretty reasonable to me here. Again, mild here out in the west, cooler here in the east, so it's showing it as near normal or slightly below normal. And then going out from the 28th to the 6th, showing below normal here across areas of the northeast, near normal the southeast, and again, above normal out here in the west. What's interesting, yesterday's model run, it shifted that cold air up toward the northeast, so they trimmed this away. And then this morning's run, it brought it back further south. So it'll be interesting to see if this map changes anything by later this afternoon. As far as precipitation, again, the initial 6 to 10 day outlook still looks fairly below normal for a big part of the country, except for areas in the northeast down here toward Texas. But look what happens as we go deeper, going out toward March 6th. A big part of the country sees a much more active precipitation chances here across the country, except for maybe out here on the west coast, but at least we're not worrying about any drought conditions kind of building it across the nation. So looks like we get to say goodbye to that warm air, that cold air. We're going to welcome the warm air, at least briefly, as we go into this upcoming week. So we get a little bit of a break going into Monday and Tuesday. Then we got to track those 2 cold shots coming down next week to watch that. And then I think the storm track gets progressively more active as we go into the month of March. So the last week in February, for the most part, will be relatively calm. But then as we go into March, that's when I really think things are going to really get active. So if you want to stay up on those changes, the best advice I can give you, if I can earn your trust to be one of your weather sources, please go ahead and keep it right here. If you could, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And as always, if there's something you'd like to see or if you have a question, please post it down below. I'm more than happy to answer your question. All right, that is your update for now. You guys take it easy, be good, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next update. Till then, you guys have a great weekend. Bye, guys.